Thank you. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Liberian Diaspora Forum Weekly Talk Show. My name is Kafumba Kroma, and as always, I'll be your host. Tonight, we have the privilege of hosting again one of our own, Honorable Ali Sylla, the National Coordinator for Parole and Probation Services of Liberia. Honorable Sylla graduated in 2008 with a Bachelor's of Science degree from Springfield College, School of Human Services. In 2005, he graduated from Springfield College, School of Human Services with a Bachelor's degree. And then in 2008, he earned his graduate degree from St. Joseph's University with Master of Science in Criminal Justice with emphasis of Applied Behavior Analysis on May 10. This is 2005, 2008.
May 10, 2008.
Sylla is a youth advocate, and obviously, as I said in the announcement, we've brought him here today to talk to us briefly about his possible consideration for making a run for the upcoming Montserrado County senatorial election. Additionally, I also mentioned that we hope that we can also begin a fundraising effort here to help Honorable Sylla, with his campaign. Personally, I have my own commitment to make. I will not do that here. I'm working on that. But we sincerely hope that the few of you that are here and those that are coming as well will make some effort to help us do some fundraising here, at least begin the process here. Now, with that said, the brother online, Brother Sylla, is obviously by far eloquent than the moderator, so I need not keep you listening to me when he's available. So, Brother Sylla, let me turn the floor over to you so you may begin talking to us, with us, about your decision to make a run for Montserrado County Senator position next year, and what is it you envision, and why this time, and how can we truly help you to realize this goal? Welcome to the Liberian Diaspora Forum.
Well, thank you very much, Brother Kafumba, and thanks to all of the audience and all of our brothers and sisters who are listening from Liberia and friends of Liberia. Always a privilege. I think I was one of the first person that you contacted from Liberia when the Diaspora Forum was contacting person from Liberia to present on their work in Liberia. I did enjoy that very well. And then coming to visit family and friends in the United States of America, and also having an opportunity to speak to our brothers and sisters in America of what is unfolding in Liberia. It's always a privilege. There's a lot of lack of information of the different activities of what is happening in Liberia and in the actual reality of the circumstances in Liberia. So I'm the National Coordinator of Probation Services at the Ministry of Justice. But before that, I was working at the Ministry of Youth and Sports as a psychosocial counselor, which of course was on senior staff level. And then in 2012, I went to the Ministry of Justice as the National Coordinator there. But between that two, I was Executive Director. I founded an organization called the Center of Counseling and Restorative Dialogue. That is in the Kinshasa Street area, which of course we get a library where the young people go and do their homework, learn how to read, and run different programs within our library. I just wanted to bring that to the attention of those of you who perhaps listening and don't know some of our work that we do in Liberia. If you walk into the library right now, we have interacted with more than 10,000 young persons from around Montserrado County, from the various schools as well. So today, I think we're talking about the Montserrado race and some of the things that we've been doing in terms of how we got this whole vision of contesting the Montserrado race in 2014, the midterm elections in 2014. Montserrado is the melting pot in terms of geopolitics in Liberia. So most of our work and the visibility of our work is densely associated with Montserrado and Monrovia and its environs. But notwithstanding, what I do at the Ministry of Justice, probation been around our law for 42 years, but never been implemented until 2010. But I was able to expand probation in additional 2 counties, which of course was Lofa and Mimba County. And we have officers there. Our presence have been felt in those particular counties, working with the criminal justice actors. So our presence been felt there. So our work as the national coordinator, as youth advocate and youth activism, have landed us here today. Over the years, we were able to work with the different youth and student organizations in Liberia, where we submitted a bill in African Youth Charter that was the president signed in Banjul of 2008. That was rectified through some of our presentation by the Senate, the House Committee on Youth and Sports. At that time was Carl Farley. We presented on that bill. I presented on the psychological instruments, what young people are going through. And we submitted that bill, and that bill we mobilized, we lobbied. That bill was passed in the lower house, and the Senate concurred with the bill. And today that bill has been passed and rectified as the African Youth Charter. And that particular bill talks about youthful participation in politics. And the youthful participation in politics look at key thematic area, which of course was associated with what the young people were doing in terms of participation in politics. There are many times young people were being used and abused. Young people were used as instruments of war, instruments of other factors that took our country back. But today, to encourage young people to be in the geopolitics of our country, they themselves need to be involved in key decision makings of our country. So we're able to work with the young people in different areas. But before that, in 2011, I was a national coordinator. I was a national chairperson for the Coalition of Women, Youth, and Students Against Electoral Violence. And later on, that organization changed into Sustain Peace, the Coalition of Women, Youth, and Students to Sustain Peace. During the whole electionary process, we're able to work with young people in the length and breadth of the country, where young people can desist from violence in the electionary period. Sometime about 3 months ago, the young people decided, because of our advocacy and our agitations and activism, the young people decided to petition me. They call themselves the Coalition of Former Youth and Students, in Montserrado County. They petitioned me, and those particular youth organizations were from some communities, especially in West Point and Carrollton. And they petitioned me to contest for the Montserrado seat. I think with the understanding that young people constitute about 65% of our population under the age of 35 years old. Being that I teach at 3 universities, AMU, UL, and AMEZ, I also have a youth organizations. I also work with the young people in the prison setting. I also speak on behalf of the young people in the length and breadth of our country. They just found it deemed necessary that some of us go there so their voices can be heard. So they petitioned me to contest the Montserrado seat. And at that day, I was presenting on the level playing field bill that was passed in the lower house, which of course at that time I was being very vocal because it was very discriminatory bill for the Liberian people. Saying that people must resign 2 years prior to elections, and then it was a violation of our constitution provision of Article 6 and Article 18 of our Constitution. Article 18 says that all Liberians must be able to participate in every electionary process regardless of their creed, their sex, their orientation, and their heritage. And Article 8 of our Constitution talks about the lawmakers must be able to develop policies for the livelihood of Liberians to better themselves. That is the article which allow us to pursue of our happiness based on our Constitution provision. And this particular bill violated that, and I spoke very vocal about that particular law that the lower house passed and sent to the Senate for concurrence. And today, because of all of the things that we're able to do to create this wonderful awareness about it, and today they go back and review that, and then the young people petition me during that particular process. So I did not accept the petition there. What I told them that we'll be able to look at the petition to draw a roadmap and allow our team to go into the community and see, and go into the 17 electoral districts and see whether this feasibility study that we'll be able to do can give us an edge in terms of going to the process. As I speak to you, the team is called the Sylla Political Action Committee, ASPART, and the team is doing a comprehensive assessment in the 17 electoral districts of Montserrado County, and so far the feedback that we're getting from the team is they are very, very favorable of us saying that we might be going to the process. But the reality there is that we have drawn up a roadmap of how we think that this process can be accomplished. The first thing we did was we allowed the team. The team was headed by Valai Dollar, who has a master's degree in public policy from China, who was former student leader of AMU University. He heading the team, and that team is working vigorously. The team have developed a Facebook page called Sylla for Senate, wherein as I speak to you, over 2,500 members, and that page been developed about 3 weeks ago. It's a very active page about most of our activities that have been going around. The team is in the community. The team is meeting with people, consulting with people, and we've been having a good feedback of us going into the process. So as I speak to you, I think we are open to go into the process of the Montserrado race, and we've been having a lot of consultation with stakeholders in the diaspora as well as in Liberia, major stakeholders within our community and outside our community, within the youth and student community as well. We've been having a lot of consultation on that. Going to the Senate, I think that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Going to the Senate is not going to be an easy task. It's a collective effort of all of us. We as Liberians in the diaspora here, and we as Liberians on the ground, working to sustain the idea of contesting the senatorial bid, and also winning, not just contesting, but winning and have a seat, because we have to have a say in the decision making of our process. So our vision for the Senate is about building consensus. There are many times, if you look at all of the issues of the caucuses and the committees, the discrepancy between the caucuses and the committees of in the Senate, there's a missing link. What's the definition of the relationship between the caucus and the committee? And I think that I don't want to give you a theoretical analogy of that. I think most of you who are listening to us already understand the theoretical analogy of it. But I want to say that the caucus is about base of interest. It could be political identifications. It could be ethnicity. It could be tribe. It could be country of origin. It could be political ideology. It could be political party affiliations. But then the committee that is working within, if you're associated with a committee, the committee that legislates laws and investigate laws and call people for hearing and consultation. So there's a missing gap of those particular things. I think if you look at the young people who petition me, 65%, which is close to 2 million people in our country, don't have a voice. Unemployment is a very high hit in our country. 80% of our country is unemployed. And then if you look at the literacy rate of our country as well as the institutions are there, but we're talking about decent, standardized in terms of curriculum development of our education. It's very poor. I think going to the Senate, these are the kind of challenges that we want to look at. The young people issues in our country, whether it's the gender equity issues in our country, whether it's substance abuse issue in our country, whether it's mental health issue, whether it's employment, empowerment. These are the pivotal issues that we're going to focus on in terms of legislating laws that will benefit that particular population. Many people might disagree why I want to focus on that. The reason why we think we need to focus on that is that the instruments of development in our country in terms of people talk about security. We have 10 years of security in the country. I think the government been able to do infrastructural security, but the human security component of our society is very vulnerable and volatile in terms of sustaining this fragility of our peace in our country. So we need to legislate law to sustain the peace that we have. That means the human security component of that. And employment is a major contributing factor to the human security in our country. So we need to legislate laws for that. Employment, for instance, we talk about pursuit of happiness. And I think many of our laws, especially our Constitution, because as a senator, you need to look at the Constitution, the Bill of Rights of our Constitution, talk about contemporary issues of our society. So if we cannot get that Bill of Rights such a way that those Bill of Rights we can amend, because the bill is an amendment of our Constitution to address the contemporary issues in our country. I don't think that our senators are doing a decent job of addressing that, especially the senator of Montserrado County. Those of you who know George Musu Fremont, she has never drafted any law. Montserrado have over 1.2, 1.4 million Liberians living in Montserrado. Obviously, the laws that the senator of Montserrado will be deriving at will be the same law that will be impacting the larger Liberian community, larger Liberian population. But Montserrado has some of the biggest slums. When we talk about gender equity, our women are behind in terms of education. We need to look at affirmative action or quota system to make sure our sisters can come to par to the young men in terms of education. We need to develop new curriculum development. There's no way the Ministry of Education will be able to derive at these things without comprehensive education law. Like in the U.S. here, they have Individual with Disability Education Act. We need to have that in our country. There are many people who are going through mental illness. We have over 100,000 young people who fought our war. They are going through some level of trauma in terms of what is happening in our country. So we need to look at education sector and look at curriculum, derive as curriculum that will deal with the behavior issues within school. We don't have that. So how do the Ministry of Education going to deal with that if we don't have laws that will govern that? Because laws are derived at so we can have budgetary support in terms of implementation of those statutes. But these people who are, it's unfortunate that, that our lawmaker, George Musu Fremont, having derived those comprehensive things. And the other thing I would like to talk about is that going to this particular process is that where are we today, people of Montserrado County or people of Liberia? Where are we today in terms of the DDR program? The DDR program in early 2000 talk about the disarmament, demobilization, reintegration, and rehabilitation. The DD worked for us, but the RRR did not work. The reintegration and rehabilitation did not work for us. So we're going to be looking at that particular component. Our country is a very volatile country based on the population that was associated with the Civil War. So we need to derive bills and legislation that would deal with the rehabilitation and reintegration package of these young people who were victims and perpetrators of our Civil War. We don't have any laws on our book that will derive at that. So, these are the kind of things I'm going to be looking at in terms of going to this particular process. The other thing is in terms of oversight, because the TOR of a senator is legislative law, have oversight, and then proper representation. Proper representation, more consultation with our people of Montserrado County. I can't remember. I lived in Montserrado County all my life. I came to America, obviously went back to Liberia. I've been in Liberia consistently since 2009. I've never heard that our lawmaker, our senator has had any consultation in terms of proper representation of our people. So we're going to be in the corners and bellies of Montserrado County, hearing the views and aspirations of our people, so we can legislate laws that can benefit so that people can have a say. Without that, there's no way as a senator can have proper representation of the people if the people cannot have a say. Oversight. There are land ministries and agencies in our country. Montserrado, there are people who cannot afford medical bills. There are people who cannot go, we have decent education. Our sisters, of course, the intern rate, the admission rate of high school for women is on the increase, but then it's on the decrease in terms of people falling out from school. So how do we derive of that and create programs and activities to motivate them so they cannot go back, they cannot fall back from school, they cannot drop out of school? I mean, these are the kind of things I'm going to be doing. But I can tell people that I'm a youth advocate. Most of the things I'm going to be deriving is going to be youth sensitive, because the population that we're dealing with, especially in Montserrado County, is a huge youthful population. So we're going to be looking at those particular areas. If you could go to rural Montserrado County, places people don't have adequate drinking water, no electricity. How do we draft laws and have oversight about the land ministries and agencies so that people can benefit through the programs and activities in those areas? Because as a senator, you're an advocate. You must be able, in terms of proper representation, you must be able to speak for the voice of, you must be able to speak for the people. You are the voice of the voiceless. So we will be speaking for our people who are in those particular communities, don't have those basic services, so our people can benefit. You know, as a national coordinator for probation services, there are many people who did not even know that probation was in Liberia until I went into that position. We're able to advocate that our people must have a second chance opportunity. And today, we are rehabilitating our people in the 4 counties. We have programs and activities in those 4 counties. We are behind our lawmakers to increase our budgetary support for the Division of Probation and Parole Services. We are working with judicial actors and criminal justice actors within those 4 counties. And today, our people are receiving second chance opportunity and probations are being granted. In terms of working with the police, we work with the police in terms of coordinations of our programs and activities, immigration, DEA. So that's the same kind of approach that we're going to take from what we're doing right now and go into the Senate in terms of lobbying, in terms of coordination, in terms of proper representation, have oversight responsibility over land ministry and agency so they can be able to provide basic services for our people. So these are the kind of things that we're going to do. You know, the Senate that we want to contest for is Montserrado County, and Montserrado County is heavily contested by popular candidates, and we are up for the task. We're going to articulate the views and aspirations of our people to make sure that our people can benefit from the state, because the state has a civil commitment on our law. The provision of our Constitution gives the state the right to provide and have legitimate ownership of their citizens. But if the citizens themselves don't know all those provisions, as a senator, you should let them, enlighten them about the state responsibility towards them and their responsibility towards the state. Because it's a partnership, it's a win-win situation for both the state and its citizenship. It's its citizenship. So I want to stop there. Maybe we can entertain 1 or 2 or 3 questions. But our vision that when we go there, we'll not remain silent. We'll advocate for our people. We'll talk about different key issues in terms of legislation. We'll speak in terms of proper representation of our people of Montserrado County. We'll make sure their voices will be heard in terms of national discussion and dialogue about the different grievances that our people have so they can benefit in terms of the national consciousness, in terms of the national development agenda in our country. I just wanted to go back a little bit. about my work in Liberia, not just my work alone, in terms of my advocacy in Liberia. I'm a national leader in Liberia. I've spoke on so many different reasons. I've spoken on so many different issues in our country. Whether it's about national dialogue on peace and reconciliation, whether it's a national dialogue on substance abuse for young people, whether it's a national dialogue of youth employment and youth empowerment, whether it's a national dialogue of political grievances in our country, whether it's addressing the police issue, the healthcare issues, the gender equity issues, and the different issues in our country. I've written articles about those things. We are speaking about those things. We have worked. Even the latest, one of the things that I differ, I work in the government. Sometimes I differ with the government policy. Like the GSC firing about 43 persons, youthful professionals, Liberians were laid out. We spoke against that. We advocated against that to be reinstated. And today, our plot, the people went to the Senate, and the Senate asked those people to be reinstated, and those people, the process is on. Those are things that we've been doing in Liberia. Even the healthcare, when the healthcare workers went on strike, I was one of the first Liberians who wrote an article about that, who spoke on the different radio stations and different intellectual forums in Montserrado County that the healthcare workers' salary need to be increased. And today, the national budget, we have $6 million in the national budget for the healthcare workers, so their pay will be increased so they can remain. Because these are servants of the people. The teachers, the salary of the teachers, spoke on that. And today, public school teachers, their salary is up. Electricities, we have spoken on those issues in terms of national advocacy in our country. So we are no stranger in terms of the national dialogue in our country. We have spoken on so many different radio stations and so many different, we have written so many different, I've had press conferences, press releases on the different national issues. So we're no stranger in terms of our national discourse in our country. So let me stop there, Brother Kafuma.
Okay.
Let me stop there, and then maybe as questions coming in and out, maybe the dialogue will continue.
Sounds good. Thank you. Obviously, one of the downside about hosting an eloquent candidate like yourself is that by the time you are done with your introductory remark, you've taken away all of our questions. Folks, you've just heard it, man. Sylla, the candidate for Montserrado County senatorial election comes next year. And as I said from the beginning, Brother Sylla is not only here to acquaint us with his campaign, but it is our hope, me, him, both, and perhaps many of you on here, it is our hope that we can also turn this forum into a fundraising one. So we will gladly take your pledges, donations, support in whatever way, form, or shape. Now, having said that, let me inform you that I've opened your question line. Your question lines, actually, they were open. I'm glad not very many of you caught that, but the question line is open already. And so, based on what you heard, or if you came here with a preconceived question, by all means, now will be the time to dial *61 on your phone. And I will gladly take your question over to Brother Sylla so he can, talk to you or talk with you. With all of us regarding your comment, concern, and your question. So that's *61 if you have any question, and I see that if someone has just made that entry, the first one. So there are many of you here, obviously, a lot more keep coming. Let me welcome you to the Liberian Diaspora Forum Weekly Talk Show. We have with us Honorable Sylla, National Coordinator for Parole and Probation Services in Liberia. Sylla is in the state to firstly visit with his family, but also he saw the need to talk with the Liberian diaspora community about his decision to contest Montserrado County senatorial election in 2014. Now, before I begin taking my questions here, Mr. Sylla, I'm already heartbroken by the fact that you entering this race. I'm heartbroken for the fact that I know you've done a great work in the area, in the position that you are in right now as a coordinator for Parole and Probation Services. if you can recall, when I visited Liberia sometime this year, they said that the position you have, it appears to me that it was one that you created due to the level of work that you've done, the amount of time you put in, the amount of documents you produce just to make that department better. I can only imagine, with you out of that position, how much, difficult it will be. But you alluded to the fact that Montserrado County is a heavily contested area, and that is something all of us know. I don't even know the name of all the other candidates, but it is something that one does not have to know in order to imagine how heavily contested it will be. So my question then becomes, as heavily contested as you think it will be, I know you were petitioned by a lot of, some youth, and I also know you've done a lot of work with the youth. You've teach at 2-3 different universities, all of which bring you in contact with the peoples. But what are your own chances of truly winning this election, and why? Can you please comment on that before I begin taking questions for the night?
Well, thank you very much. I think that's a very good question. We have a very good chance. Looking at the level of work, our own involvement, I'm a member of 78 youth organizations in Montserrado County. I'm a member of the board of 10 youth organizations in Montserrado County. I've also been, I teach at 3 different universities. I've spoken to many different events and activities around. I'm a football team owner, basketball team owner. I'm the co-chair of the Liberia Basketball President Association. I'm a member of Liberia Football Association. I'm part of many social groupings in Montserrado County, many intellectual centers in Montserrado County, SEMPI, FOHA, CO, attractive-based intellectual center. I mean, our chances is very, very good. Looking at the numbers statistically, looking at the level of work, and we'll continue working. We just need to go back and reawaken. We have cells in the different 17 districts, 17 electoral districts in Montserrado County. There's no district in Montserrado County that has not worked in. Working all of those districts, I think we just need to go back, reawaken the cells, let the people know that we are in the race, and I think that number will show itself. I've been involved in different things. The popularity is there. I'm very popular in terms of the new generation of emerging leaders in Liberia. So all of those things are good chance for us. The reality there now is how we're with the better strategy. I mean, we cannot talk about all of the strategy on the forum right now. I think with a better strategy, our chances look very, very good. There are many people. I can tell you one thing: 15 political parties came to me to consult to run on them as a coalition. 15 political parties. Liberty Party came to me that they want me to go on their ticket. So if my chances were not good, they will not come to me. These are major political parties in Liberia. So our chances look good. Other than that, these people will not come to say that, Mr. Sylla, I want you to contest on our party.
I'm glad you mentioned that. You mentioned political party. That was going to be exactly my next question. So which one of those political parties will you be running, or which ticket will you be contesting this election?
Well, thank you very much. But I'm a member of the United Party.
Okay.
And yes, I'm a member of the United Party. But the party, every party has a provisions for primary in their bylaws and constitution. So I will not say right now that we'll be contesting on the United Party. But what I can tell you that United Party, when I was in Monrovia, they want to make a public service announcement that they are calling for all partisans to put in their letter of intent. And then the deadline was the 27th of September. I'm the only person, as I speak to you right now, who submitted their letter of intent to contest on the party for Montserrado County. But notwithstanding, the party must have to go to a primary. Maybe I might go on a white ballot to the primary. But I'm a astute member of the party. During the campaign, I was co-chair for mobilization, campaign launch for the party, national campaign launch, co-chair for mobilization. So I'm a due payer of the party. I'm an active member of the party. So I cannot say that I will be contesting on the party until after the primary, but I've submitted my letter of intent.
All right, fair for me. So let's begin taking questions here as we go along. Our first caller for the night will be 7867. By the way, a good number of you just joined us, and let me welcome you to the Liberian Diaspora Forum Weekly Talk Show. Tonight we have the privilege of hosting Ali Sylla. Ali Sylla is the National Coordinator for Parole and Probation Services in Liberia. He's a professor. He teaches at 3 different universities in Liberia. He's considering contesting Montserrado County senatorial seat in 2014 election. So that's what he's talking about. If you have any question, comment, or concern, please dial *61 on your phone. *61 on your phone. And your questions will come over here and we'll get over to Mr. Sylla. So 7867. Could you please tell us your name, where you're calling from, and your question for Mr. Sylla?
Okay, good evening. My name is Montserrado County, calling from Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. First of all, I want to appreciate the comrade for the beautiful expose regarding his performance vis-a-vis his entry into the senatorial race of Montserrado County. I have few concerns or questions. And, I was in Liberia during the 2011 elections. Whenever it comes to the primary, there are some games that have been played behind the scene. I was there when he was defeated by Councillor Musa Dean at GW Gibson campus during a primary, which, of course, I took better side on that because it was not fair. What will happen if it's not considered under the gavel of the Unity Party? Will he run as an independent candidate, or will he say relinquish his desire to run because the Unity Party may likely put a candidate that they favor? That's the first question. My second concern is the entry of George Weah in a race of Montserrado that has almost like bulk of the electorate. What are the chances that our comrade, our friend, can put her against George Weah as a candidate that will know who has the popularity, who has the people's power? Can he really defeat George Weah in Montserrado? I want you to give me that conviction. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Keita. Yeah, Mr. Sylla, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Keita. The primary of Unity Party in 2011, when I decided to go to Unity Party to contest a representative in 2011, and Musa is very aware the circumstances that unfolded. There were a lot of malpractices of trying to get me out, and I don't want to get into all of the detail because of our party politics. But notwithstanding, I think I've said earlier that Unity Party for Montserrado County, the party gave out a guideline and a deadline of how all those who want to contest on the party must submit the letter of intent. I did that. There was a meeting called for Montserrado on Saturday on the 28th, which of course the chairman, Honorable Stephen Nouvel, presented my letter to the people of Montserrado County and forwarded my letter to the National Secretary General that Mr. Ali Sylla had applied through the party and submitted my letter to the National Secretary General that I'm the only person who met the guideline. So because of that, I can speak to you right now that I'm the front runner in terms of what is happening with Unity Party. I can guarantee you that. The other thing is, we have to go to primary. I think our own party politics is that whether they want to bring up somebody within and that person did not meet the guideline, then we'll be violating our provisions in our party or the guideline within the party. So I don't want to force to go through all of those things, but I can guarantee you right now that my letter of intent is there, and we should still go to a primary, and then whether that worked or it didn't work, whether I'll go independent. I mean, that's something that we need to look at. Liberty Party have approached me that they can guarantee me to contest on their ticket. And 15 political parties, including LTP, the Liberal Transformation Party, have contacted me to see whether I want to go on their ticket. But I'm a member of Unity Party, and I believe in the doctrines and I believe in institutions. So I will stick to Unity Party until we can go to the primary. But anyway, it's a hypothetical question. I think let us stick to the Unity Party primary and then go from there. Josh Weah. If you look at statistically, if you look at the popularity of Josh Weah since 2005, seems like the number in Montserrado County continue to decrease. I think now we don't want to dive into the strategy of campaigning. We don't want to dive into the blueprint of how we think we can defeat Josh Weah. And we also understand the voting nature of our populations. Sometimes people don't understand the substance of what it is, that somebody who can bring transformation and transition to change people's lives in terms of policies and procedures of their own legislation, that our partisans will vote on sentiment. We also understand that. I'm a student of psychology, and I understand the psychology of our people very well. But yet them stay. I don't underestimate the Liberian people. And I know that coming from where we come from in the constituents that we have, if we put our strength on the best strategy, we'll have good number to defeat Josh Weah in this race. But I think that we will just leave that with the best strategy. We can definitely defeat him. With our energy and our zest, with engaging the youthful populations, we can defeat him. With our work, demonstrating our work over the years in Liberia, looking at what we do in terms of institutions, the intellectual class. I think the intellectual class will join me in this debate, and perforating this debate, because the intellectual class is the voice of the people. And I think if the intellectual class can join me, definitely we can defeat Josh Weah. As I said to you, these parties are not play party. These parties, those parties that are pushing me. These are the intellectual class of our society, the cream de la cream. Coming to me that, look, Mr. Sylla, I want you to contest on our ticket. So that says a lot in terms of our strength. That says a lot in terms of what we're capable of doing. So I think that we will have the right number with the right strategy. It's a good possibility of beating Josh Weah in this race.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Some of you just joined us. Let me once again welcome you. Thank you and welcome you to the Liberian Diaspora Forum Weekly Talk Show. We have Ali Sylla, a candidate for Montserrado County senatorial election in 2014. So if you have any question, comment, or concern, by all means, please dial *61. We'll take your questions over here. Moving on, let's take our next caller here, 1260-1260. Could you please tell us your name, where you're calling from, and your question for Mr. Sylla? 1260.
My name is George K. Salif. I'm calling from, George K. Salif from Minnesota. I just got on the line to tell my brother Sylla thank you, extending appreciation for him, and I actually been following what all he been doing in Liberia. I admire him, and I pray that he wins the party primary to be a senatorial candidate against Josh Weah, and I will remember him, and I hope to be there at that time to join the campaign. Thank you, Mr. Sylla, for all your good work you've been doing for our people. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
All right. Well, obviously, I don't have a question to that. Let's take the next caller here. Now, 0357. Your name, where you calling from, and your question for Mr. Sylla.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. My name is Teku Kene, calling from Minnesota. I had two questions, but one of the callers asked the first question, so I'll just go with one to the last question. Mr. Sylla, my question to you is, are you prepared financially to take on Josh Weah? As we all know, Josh Weah, got some money, and there's no way you can exclude money from politics. So are you prepared financially? If not, what are you doing to raise money to contest against Josh Weah? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. You know, in politics, it's about consensus and coalition building. You know, this process, there will be a lot of people who have interest in this process. You know, in political processes, they have interest groups, and these interest groups must have a say in terms of demonstrating that they want to support somebody. So I'm here to, in consultation with our community people as well as people who sympathize with us, to be able to galvanize resources to go into this process. There are people who've been promising, making promises, and also too from the institution that I come from, hopefully, will be able to give us some support. But financially, I think we need to get a very strong team together. And I think that team will be people from our community, people from outside our community, people who believe in aspiration and visions of us taking this leadership to the highest height to join us. And I think this is where Kafuma have started in terms of sensitization and this robust awareness about resource mobilization in the diaspora here. And I can tell you one thing, though. Every leadership around the world, the populations of any community from the diaspora is the people that support people in Liberia. So I was a member of the diaspora here. I lived here for 17 years. And having your support financially means a lot in going to this process. And I think our community, if our community agree, and some of our major stakeholders in our community also have endorsed our candidacy. So we will depend on the community financially. We'll also depend on our friends financially. We'll depend on the institution financially. And also to our own financial strength will be added to that. So I can say if the community is ready, I think we are ready. And this is the beginning of that process engagement. You know, I've been speaking to people in Pennsylvania, in Minnesota, in Liberia, to see how we can organize the different fundraising events to buttress the effort, because it's going to be cost intensive. It's going to be tough. There will be time that I will depend on the people morally. There will be time I will depend on the community financially. There will be time that I will need the community to empathize with me in terms of this, because it's not an easy task. Montserrado is very polarized in terms of geopolitics. But I think we have a good chance here. We have a very good chance here to make our voices heard. And we cannot do it no other place but in Montserrado County. And I think this is why our chances are so great.
Okay, thank you. That reminds me, in case you were not here from the beginning, we have said that as much as this is a dialogue between Sylla and the diaspora community, it is equally so a fundraising event. So if you, I think I also wrote that you should please come to the show tonight with your checkbook or wallet handy. So we are taking donations. You know, if you want to make pledges, by all means, please do. We'll take down your information and we will go after you. All right. So let me mention that part. So our next caller will be 1636 1636. 1636. Would you please tell us your name, where you're calling from, your question for candidate Sylla? 1636.
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, sir.
Thank you very much. This is Abu Pelosi calling from Philadelphia. First of all, welcome, Mr. Sylla. This is your brother, Philadelphia.
My brother, how do you do?
Great step, and we'll stand with you.
Well, thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Let me get to my question. My question is, as we all know in politics, the very good things start home. If you remember, we met in Liberia, that was like 2007, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Before my departure, there was something our community was working on, which was the two Manigo person, not going by tribal land, just trying to get something. She didn't raise from one position in order not to divide the group. Which they say that before anybody run for any position, there will be a Madingo convention, at least we ought to throw our support behind one person.
Okay, whether that happened or not, the point here is this. What is your rapport with our community over there? That's one question. Second, in running for this position, what are the preparations that you have made in other parts of Montserrado? Have you tested the water? And what was your result from there? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benedict. Mr. Benedict?
All right.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Sylla.
Well, thank you very much. The relationship with the community, I think the moderator himself can tell you that we have a very good relationship with our community in Liberia, in our involvement, in our advocacy, and our visibility in the community of visiting our people and speaking on behalf of them in terms of social justice, academic freedom, and social liberation. We've been able to do that for our people. And the other one is, I don't want to get into all of the details of getting one person in the community. I think I would lead out to the community people. It's a good political calculations to have people, but then again, we need to be careful because our Constitution allows people to run based on, the pursuit of happiness, proper representation of to run. So I think we'll have to leave that with our elders in the community to see whether they want to support one candidate and put their weight behind that candidate. As I said, the right strategy, these are strategies. It's not something for us to say in the public glare. These are behind-the-scenes strategies that we need to talk about to see how the community can pull forward one candidate. But then again, we have to be careful. That candidate must be somebody who can cross court, not just somebody, because if even our community stand behind one candidate, it will be impossible for that one person to win. But I think we need to make sure that person is electable. That person is electable, have a good electability in the different areas. That person have done some work in terms of qualification, in terms of engagement, in terms of community activism. These are the criteria that we need to set in terms of vetting who goes as a consensus candidate. So I just want us to a little bit be careful of how we go about this particular principle. But I think it's a good idea. That should be part of the strategy in getting that going. So let me stop there. But the relationship with the community is very cordial. In our community, I'm the host of one of the most provocative show on Radio Al-Falah called Leadership and the Muslim Personality. As I said, the relationship is cordial. I don't want to give up some of the strategy, but the relationship is very cordial. And those of you who've been monitoring some of our activities, you know what we've been doing.
Okay. All right. Folks are still, I've yet to receive my first pledge here. I'm looking forward to that. I'm really eager to see who will be that first person to make that first pledge. Moving on, we will take the next caller, and this is Honorable Mohammed Dollar of MMA, our dynamic president. Mr. Dollar, welcome to the Liberian Diaspora Forum. Your question, comment, or concern for Honorable Ali Sylla.
Oh, thank you very much. Mr. Sylla, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here today with us. I have some concern. I know the moderator keeps talking about a pledge, but I have some concern. If you remember back, I don't know the main year, you came here once that you were going for representative position, and we put our weight behind you and do some collection, and you went back to Liberia, and later on, we were told that the elder in Liberia said you should step aside. But we did not get feedback from you. I felt personally disappointed because in making that decision, Lee, you should have reached up to us to say, I came to you guys, but when I went back to Liberia, the elder said I should step aside. And now you are coming back this time around.
and I know you need our support. So I need some answer here so we can be able to go out there and talk to our community members to say, you know what, let's support our brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And first of all, let me thank you guys so much for, it was, the first thing is, I went to Minnesota and Brother Ducle, Brother Ishmael, the Minnesota, the Marine Association in Minnesota, they're extremely well of collecting and putting their weight behind me. And at that time, it was in support of the library event because we were very careful of not saying that it was support of the campaign because at that time the campaign did not start yet. And then when I got to Monrovia, we went to the primary, and as I said, there were issues within the primary. Let me just give you a background of how the primary went. Every contender must bring 10%. Then the party must bring 10%. It was 4% that were contesting. The party must bring 10. Everybody must bring 10% to vote for them. Then the party will bring 10% as a super delegate, and then we'll lobby among those 10% to see who vote for who, and then the highest number will win. So we went to the primary. Musa Dean, Ali Sylla, Prince Mabu, and Washington Blake. Everybody had their 10%. Then the party had their own 10%. What they did was they already decided that they were going to carry Musa Dean. At that time, I didn't know what was happening. So then they went ahead and brought in 6%. And the party brought in 6%, and those 6% were people that were working in Musa Dean's office. Okay? So we went to the place, and when I saw it now, then one of my guys who were with me noticed that those guys were working in Musa Dean's office because he knew them. Tapped me to say, oh, my man, you need to be careful. These guys here, they are S, Y, and Z. So we stopped that process, and our primary took 3 days. And then when we went for the final primary now, Washington Blake sold his people to Musa Dean for $3,000. So that's how we went to the primary. I had 10 votes, Musa Dean had 16 votes, and the third person had 9, and then the other person had 3. Washington Blake had 3, or 4. So that's how I got defeated. Then other people already talked to me to go to primary, to go to independent. But because I've been working in the party, and people knew me to be a member of the party, and when I went back to talk to the older folks, and they said, "Oh, Ali, just step aside now, and then wait for another time." And obviously, Brother Dole, I didn't officially come to the leadership. At that time, you were still a leader. I didn't officially come to the leadership to say, oh, X, Y, and Z. But there were people who knew. Ishmael Kumar knew. I told him on the personal stuff. So let me apologize publicly that I did not do it officially to say that I was cheated in the primary, and then later on I could have gone independent. But our chances looking at our chances being an independent candidate at that time, our chances to contest was very slim, looking at the polarizations of the district. But because we have worked in the party, we have made ourselves very popular in the party as the party candidate. This is why we did not contest. And it was in consultation with the local, with our people in the community in Monrovia. So let me apologize for that. But although the conversation was between me and some other people, why I did not go. I think Mohamed Sisse was part of that conversation as well. I think even Kafumba was part of that conversation. So let me apologize to the Maringo Association in Minnesota, the Minnesota Maringo Association, that I did not do it formally to you guys, that I step aside. But I think this time around, this is a perfect opportunity for us. Perfect opportunity. One is we have done enough work in Montserrado County. We've been tested in terms of the national politics, in terms of the development agenda in our country. I think Brother Kafuma was in Monrovia when the President did the State of Union address, and she talked about probation and the level of work that we are doing. So this is a perfect opportunity for us to see whether we can test our popularity in this particular process with the support of our community. So I apologize for not officially doing that. But I think this time around, the opportunity in politics is timing. This time is right. And I think it will be good for us to go through this process. So thank you, and I really do apologize. It was not done formally.
Thank you. Thank you. Folks, so many of you have joined us within the last 5 minutes. So many. And I hope maybe I'm wrong, but I like to think that if you just joining us, obviously you're wondering who is speaking. That is, we have Honorable Ali Sylla on the line. Honorable Ali Sylla is the National Coordinator for Parole and Probation Services in Liberia. He's a professor, actually teaching at 3 different universities in Liberia right now. He holds a master's degree in criminal justice, and he is a candidate for Montserrado County senatorial election in 2014. He will be. So he's come to talk to the Liberian community in the diaspora about his intention, what he intends to do, and also possibly turn this conversation into a possible fundraising. So we encourage you to please open your wallet, make those donation pledges. We'll take down the information and we'll make a follow-up hereafter. The other thing is, all the shows we had last week, we had 3 shows last week back-to-back. We were able to help the people of Nimba County to talk about the aftermath of Prince Johnson's visit to Ganta that led to 2 different protests and resulted into some people being injured. So we hosted that. That was the first show last week, Sunday. We had a lot of Nimbanians on, and the issue was discussed thoroughly with the Ganta City Mayor on the line from Ganta and a victim from the protest against Prince Johnson's visit to Ganta. One of the victims was online as well. Right after that, we hosted a new political party called Vision for Liberia's Transformation. They were our second show, and then the last show was Musa Wole, Education Care Africa. I'm happy to report that all of those shows have been uploaded on YouTube now, so if you have chance, if you wish to listen to them, by all means, go to YouTube and type in Liberian Diaspora Forum. The shows are there for your listening pleasure. Now, if you have any question, comment, or concern, as always, please dial *61 on your phone, and we will take your questions over here to Mr. Ali Sylla. With that said, let's take our next caller, 1728-1728. Your name, where you calling from, and your question for Honorable Sylla. 1728.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Moderator. Thank you for having me on. This is Manu Berete speaking from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Honorable guest, thank you very much for coming to this show to acquaint yourself with the people that you love.
Thank you.
I've heard a lot about you. I've heard about the great jobs that you have done and continue to do. And first of all, I thank you for that. Moving forward, before I ask my question, I want to give you a little historicity of the election results as it relates to senatorial seat in Montserrado County. The 2005 election, CDC carried both seats, both junior and senior, with 86,000 and 80,000 respectively. When Senator Hannah Bird died, may also rest in peace, it came out again for by-election. The CDC won with about 65,000. Then people said CDC popularity had gone down, so they could defeat CDC. So the biggest trunk came during the time. The same position came out again during the regular election of 2011. CDC did not just score 80,000, but they went 233,000, almost 3 times the 86,000. And I hear you saying that George Weah popularity has dwindled. So I want to know from which data or which perspective are you speaking, because we are all in this thing here to strategize so that you can win. So from which perspective or which data are you speaking? This is the man, it's an arguable fact that everybody that wins on the CDC ticket, especially from Montserrado County, they all win based on the popularity of George Weah, because we know most of them, they are not even qualified to be there. I'm saying this to be on the record. Thank you. So what are you depending on as your source of data? After scoring 233,000.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Bailey, thank you very much. I think it's a genuine concern. We ourselves we have looked at the numbers in terms of that. The presidency of 2005 and 2011, that was a general election. The euphoria of people going into contest for the presidency is a lot different from a by-election. Let's go back to Geraldine Doe-Sherry of 2009 where Haji Kuruma contesting. It has to go to a second round because the number did not reach 50 plus 1% of CDC. And then we're talking about George Weah factor, 26% in 2005. General election in terms of the presidency. 2011, it went what? Almost 24% for the presidency, which of course it was VP. Then we'll come back to the by-election of 2009. Kumar received about 4.7% of the total vote. Geraldine Doe-Sherry, 13% of the total vote of Montserrado County. Montserrado County at that time had over 300, almost 400,000 people, electoral voters. This time around, Montserrado get over 630,000 people. All right. So the euphoria of the general election is not going to be different. It's going to be a lot different than the midterm elections of the senatorial race. So I think with the rest strategy, that our community is a good number. How do we reawaken the base of our community? I think that's the strategy we need to focus on. Reawaken the base of our community. Somebody talked about one person. I think it was Abu Bility. Talk about one person in our community. That's another strategy. That's another strategy of a winning ticket. Because what that does for us is that it allows us to have a natural constituency in one column. Then that person must be electable from the other block. Service, qualification, enduring, activism, all of these things are the next column in terms of engaging the larger community. So I think if we can put all of those instruments together, my brother, we're looking at a serious number here. Very serious number here. And I think we can interpret that number to a winning number. But it has to come with a sound strategy. And I think we are willing to come up with that. You guys are in the diaspora here. How do we reawaken the base here? The conversation starts from here. The conversation starts from here. When Musa went there, isn't our community one benefited through their medical mission? No. This is part of the social cohesion that we try to build over the years. 2 times in a row, successful medical mission. It's not our community alone benefited. Some of us, the services that we do in Monrovia, it's not our community alone benefiting. It's other community as well. So we definitely need to have a blueprint, a next strategy, put all of these mechanisms that we're all talking around here. And I bet you, if we do those things, we'll be a formidable force for 2014. So I'll just stop there because I don't want us to talk about all of the necessary things that we need to put together so people cannot be listening because this is a public forum. You'll not be listening to some of our strategies. We need to tap into every bit and corners of these kind of strategies to get a winning ticket. And I think we're capable. We got more qualified people in our community that can come up with comprehensive strategy and blueprint of how we can get things done. We just started this thing about a month. Go to Monrovia and see the euphoria. George Weah had made in politics in 2005. They've been contesting in position in 2005. But go to the different intellectual centers. Go test the name Ali Sylla in terms of the senatorial race. Test the name on Facebook and other places in terms of the senatorial race. You see the effect and the response from the people. So I think it's just a matter of the right strategy, and I think we have the strategy. And we'll work with other people to build around the strategy so we can get it delivered. But that number don't scare you, my brother. This is a midterm election with the right strategy. We can get that number.
There's something making a little weird noise. I don't know if it's your phone or mine, but hopefully it will go away. Folks, if you have question, comment, or concern, please star 61. Keep the questions coming. We have Brother Ali Sylla with us, talking about strategies, ideas, and the work ahead with regard to Montserrado County senatorial election in 2014. We will take our next caller, and that happens to be 8251, 8251. Your name, where you calling from, and your question for Honorable Sylla. 8251.
Thank you very much. Honorable Kruma, this is Isiaka Sidibe from Dallas, Texas. And Mr. Sylla, thank you very much for your time and hello, can you hear me, Mr.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I'm listening.
All right. Thank you very much for coming to acquaint yourself with us and to also give us the background of what you intend to do and what are some of the facts that are on the ground there. Having said that, we've been reached by some other folks from Liberia, especially from our Mandingo community, asking us to help them. And we already know on listserv and other places where, in fact, our chances are sometimes slim. And we are already there competing against each other. It becomes even slimmer. So having said that, do you see yourself winning with another competitor from our own Mandingo community? If so, if you see yourself like that, have you done anything to reach out to them to make sure that, well, this is more of a lose-lose situation? Have you been able to reach out? That is my question.
Well, thank you very much. I think that's a very important. That's part of the whole consensus building. The first thing is, I know other people have interests. I was the first person that started to address people. I addressed the Sonability who have contested the same position twice and lose. That he need to step aside to give other people opportunity to go and contest. And then he was very ambivalent to the idea of stepping aside. But I think at this time, it was the right decision for him to do that. Yet he still have some interest. But I've been very open to that. The other person is Sheikh Kuyate, who decided that he wanted to contest. And he came to me and he said to me that, I wanted to contest. So I said, myself, interest. And, we've been going back and forth. I've told him that, at this time, it would be right that some of us have been tested in the national politics, and our name ring a bell in Liberia, in the geopolitics in Liberia. We have worked over the years. We've been in activism and advocacy. It would be good at this time in Montserrado County. We cannot depend on our community alone vote to get us where we need to be. That you need to step aside. The conversation is ongoing. And I also met with some other people from the National Mandingo Caucus, for them to start this conversation. Even the people in the diaspora here, to start a conversation that it should be a single person from our ethnic group to go into the race. But I think it's behoof upon all of us to make sure that if we're going to win, we're not going to this process just because our people want to vote. No. There should be a national discussion about certain things in our community. Who've been tested? What's the person's history? I mean, these are the questions. These are the questions we need to raise. Not because we want to waste our vote, but we want the voice of our people to resonate with a larger community constituency. So I think, we need to just develop a criteria. I'm open for it. If the community can say, Ali Sylla, you need to step aside because of S, Y, and Z, and those things are genuine. Who am I? Because if the community disagree to say, Ali, you cannot go, it will be difficult for some of us to take a decision to go into the process. So I think the community also to have some responsibility here. They have a role to play.
Sylla, what if the community decision, conflicts with your party's position? So how would you reconcile that? Let's say the community wants you to step down, and the party wants you to go. So how would you reconcile that?
These are the complexities. These are the major complexities. But I can tell you one thing, though. Some of us, in our social justice and academic freedom, social liberation, our community will come first. Everything we do, Kafuma, our community come first. I will never disown my community because of political ideology. You know, I would never do that. So for me, I think community will always come first. So I wouldn't even, it's not something, say, for me to think beyond the ordinary. So I will be resolved to deal with the community circumstances. Because regardless of my political party is going to measure me based on my community contribution. I mean, let's be real here, Kafuma. You think the political parties are coming to me because of what? Because they know that regardless of my circumstances and my popularity, my community is going to vote for me. I mean, that's a fact. You know? So the community will definitely come first in these circumstances, and we'll see how it goes.
All right.
And then I think the second question was, yeah, I think I answered both, though. I think both came in hand, right?
I think you did. If for some reason, Brother Slibe of Dallas, Texas, if you think your questions have been answered, if not, by all means, please that's this one for follow-up question. That's welcome. 2212, 2212, 2212. Your name, where you calling from, and your question for candidate Ali Sylla. 2212.
Yeah, hello. This is Obi. I'm currently calling from Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. Right. So, how are you, Brother Sylla?
How you doing, my brother? How do you do?
Thank you very much. You know I'm a fan of yours, but I just have a very simple question. Yeah. Brother Kuyate is a brother of this community, and you are a brother of this community. Mm-hmm. So I would like to know what makes you think you are better than Brother Sylla, Brother Kuyate when it comes to the race. What makes you better than him? Because he maybe asks the question when he comes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's a matter of better. I think it's a matter of a service deliverable. You know, the historicity of us, those of you who've been listening, you know me to be community organizer since I was in the U.S. here. When I went back home, those are the things that I continue. From where we used to be at Lima, you know, hosting the Kinsalboso lecture series, which took us, our community, to Harrisburg, to the state capital, and being recognized and give us a plot, and working with our community and making sure that the social stuff our community can benefit, organizing the TRC clinic for the Liberians in Pennsylvania, working with the Liberian Association in Pennsylvania, and the EULA chapter, you know, and going back to Liberia, building the library, doing X, Y, and Z. And getting involved in youth activities, organizing the Islamic Youth Organization, the Coalition of Islamic Youth Organization, having the first National Islamic Youth Conference that crossed across from Montserrado all the way to River G, brought people down, you know, hosting different stuff and talking about different national issues in our country. I don't know whether the term is better would be appropriate at this time, but I think the level of work that we've been able to do. You know, we're talking about having the voice of the people here. We're talking about having the voice of the people and articulating the views and aspirations of our people. Montserrado, I will not be speaking for our people alone. We'll be speaking for the greater good of Montserrado County. Getting people who can articulate very well, I think will be an integral part of what we think that this position should be like, and the person that occupies this position, or the person that goes through this process. I think for me, it comes out of that backdrop in terms of activism, in terms of advocacy, in terms of service, in terms of volunteerism. I mean, for me, I think that's where this whole thing come out of. But I tell you what, as I said earlier, the community is bigger than me. I'm not bigger than the community. If the community is deemed necessary, and this thing is very meaningful, and it makes a lot of sense, you have to say that we have developed this criteria, and this brother is the most qualified person to contest, I don't have a problem to step aside. I can guarantee the committee is bigger than me, Obi. But I think our history and our records, the records are there. It's a matter of you Googling my name and see what we've been doing. It's a matter of you going on the internet and seeing what we've been doing. So I would want us to be judged based on our records. I would just want us to be judged based on our records in terms of representing our community. So I will stop there.
Okay. And the text message I just got, that's a question for me, not for Brother Ali. The answer is yes. I will be inviting Sheikh Kuyate on the show. He contacted me many times. We have not set a date yet. It could be as early as this coming Sunday. I need to confirm with Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia that I've been talking to come and talk about the justice system in Liberia. So he's going to confirm whether or not he's going to make the show this coming Sunday. If he does, and I'll get back to Sheikh, we'll schedule a time between them. Sheikh will be on the show. That's a yes. Many of you have joined us, so many of you. I'd like to thank you for doing so, and I do want to welcome you to the Liberian Diaspora Forum Weekly Talk Show. We are over halfway through, but we have Brother Lee Sylla, candidate for Montserrado County, Senatorial Election 2014. I continue to say, while this is a conversation, we want to make it a fundraising event. I must say I'm a bit disappointed that since we started, now one person has pledged anything. I really thought that when, I don't want to put Mr. Moyibility on spot, but I really thought he was going to start the open the floor. But anyway, so the floor is still closed. We want someone to begin that process. So please, so let's see what we can do here. We will take our next caller, and questions are piling up there, so please bear with me. If I haven't reached you, that means there are so many questions waiting here. So I'll get to you quickly here. 9271, your name, where you calling from, your question for Honorable Sylla.
Yeah, this is George Toto, calling from Pennsylvania.
George Toto, Pennsylvania. So welcome, Mr. Toto.
Yeah, thank you. And also thanks to Mr. Sylla.
Sylla.
Sylla. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, but my question is, I didn't really listen to the opening statement, but I don't know which political party represents Liberia, and what is your political belief?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm a member of the United Party. I believe in the ideology and aspiration of the party. I was the co-chair for mobilization of 2011 Montserrado County national launch. I've worked within the party. I've done a lot of work in the party. I believe in the platform of the party, and that's all I can say to that. I'm a member of the United Party.
Okay. Member of Unity Party and the ideology of Unity Party. There you have it, Mr. Toto. Please come back with follow-up question if you have one. 0600. Your name, where you calling from, your question for Honorable Ali Sylla, 0600.
Go from there.
Hello? Hello? What is it?
Oh.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, Alana, you're on. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Sylla, welcome. I know we had a little discussion a couple of days ago, but I just wanted to know or say that we all know very well that every election requires money. It also requires people. And it also takes a very good messaging in order for you to reach out to those you want to reach out to. So I know this is a combination of fundraising. So let me start by saying that I will pledge amount of $100 to this effort. But having pledged, I just want to ask Mr. Sylla to tell us how he intends to raise money and get people to work for you as you sell yourself for this race. So it means people who gonna believe in you, the few people that will believe in you will help you to sell yourself out there to other people. So how are you doing that? Do you have a team in place? Do you intend to have one? And if you intend to have one, where are you looking? Are you going to look in and out of our community, because the district in which you want to represent is a very diverse area. That's the city. That's where we have the capital city in there. So the diversity is widespread. So are you going to go out to make sure that your team is going to be how they call it, put together, that will represent the people you want to lead?
Yes. Well, thank you very much. I think we have started putting the team together. The team is already working, but we need more people. Like, for instance, I was able to contact Gracie Vinto, Brunel Vinto. She's the communication strategist. I also have Seme Cole, who is a senior strategist on the team. We have Alai Dole, who is the chairman. We have Joe Wilson. We have Fode Kruma. We have Edwin Fagalo. I mean, these are just names I'm calling. The team, most of the team are in Liberia, but we're also looking at other people in the diaspora in terms of the page. We have a page right now called Sylla for Senate. As I speak to you, we have, if you go on up, the page right now is a secret page, it's a closed page, but we have over 2,500 members on the page right now. The reason why we kept it as closed, because we need to do a layout, so it stay in construction. But most of our information and our activities is there. We have somebody who good at communication, making sure that everything that we have, we want to post that, the person is there to post them. But other people too can go there and put their comment, because it's Facebook. It's cheap, it's cost effective. You can reach out to many people. So we intend to get about at least 50,000 people on this particular page. And when we go to Monrovia, we'll conclude on launching this page with a fundraiser in Monrovia. The other thing is, we will definitely, this is the beginning of what we intend to do in terms of fundraising. We'll touch base with all of our chapters that is associated with MUSA and all the Liberian organizations in the U.S., but we have major stakeholders in Liberia who have endorsed us in our candidature to make sure that we go into the process. I wouldn't be here to call a name who want to give us some financial support, but I know there are other people who are in Monrovia, who are in key positions, have endorsed us in getting us there. So the strategy will be working with the people in the U.S. In terms of their financial support and their moral support. Because most time in our elections, people in the diaspora don't vote, but they can use their resources to influence lots of decision making in our processes. So we'll definitely depend on the people in the diaspora for that. I was able to contact Kafumba and other people, and Vasiki and other people, to see whether they can put a team together here that will be able to reach out. I think Vasiki started the ball rolling on the lip serve and other places and engaging other people. So we definitely have that. The team is a very polarized team. It's just not people alone from our community, people from other communities as well. There are many people who are coming on board to join us. As I said to you, we have team at AMEU, AMEZ, we have team at UL. These are people from then we work with different existing structures as well, from the different organizations in Monrovia. Head of those organizations are part of the team. So we are very, very calculative in terms of our strategy to make sure that we got more people on board.
Thank you. I hope you heard the pledge, the initial pledge that Honorable Madi Sisse made. So he has opened our pledge line with the amount of $100. Minnesota's leading, particularly Honorable Madi Sisse. So we do want to encourage you to please follow his footsteps. You don't have to pledge $100 if you can afford that, but whatever little you can afford, when we add them all together, I think it will amount to something substantial. So please don't hesitate. We are taking pledges, be reminded. So it's part of the conversation, fundraising. On the other hand, for those of you who just joining us, we have from Ali Sylla on the line, talking about his ambition, his decision to contest Montserrado County 2014 senatorial election. And so if you have any question, comment, or concern, please dial *61. We'll take your questions over to Mr. Sylla. We will take the next caller, and that happens to be the president of the Federation of the Liberian Mandingo Association in the USA, Robangali Tawali. Mr. Tawali, welcome to the Liberian Diaspora Forum. Your question, comment, or concern?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Do you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I would introduce myself, whether you introduce me. But,
my apologies. Please go ahead. You can do over. It's all right. It's okay.
okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sylla.
Yeah, thank you, my brother Mayor. Mr. President, thank you. Anyway, congratulations.
No. Wait a minute. I'm coming. Like I told the moderator, my name is Bengali Trawali, National President of the Mandingo community in America, in the United States of America, to be exact. And totally encourage you and commend you highly for your services and your quest to join the national race to represent the Liberian people in the House of Senate. Thank you very much for that. I listened to you from your opening. Two things I gathered and which I would like to bring to your attention, which I will want you to comment on. You talk about your national party, your party that you represent, that you're a member of. As of date, you are the only one who submitted your letter of intent. No one else did it in the party, in the great county of Montserrado. That's so good to hear that. But from what I gathered from the grapevine, that the CDC is trying as much as possible to build relationship with this popular figure in Liberia called George Weah. So George Weah is pretty much a candidate for that race. So for that reason, no one else has been encouraged on to vie for that seat. So it appears to me like they're trying to make a leeway for Honorable Weah to get on to get in the House of Senate. Whatever the reason behind it, I don't know. Giving you the clear passage for UP. If that be the case, knowing fully well what the party is doing, you may not have enough financial funding or support from them. So the question to that is, are you aware of that? If that is something, will you comment on? And my question is,
that's the first question. Hold on, Mr. Sylla. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the first one. The second one is, I think many persons have spoken on this. I know when it comes to election sometimes is characterized by identity. And when we come to the African setting, we will say ethnic sentiment or what have you might put it. It's everywhere in the world. People identify identity. Here we say party and what have you, or what association you're member of. Everywhere in Nigeria, in every country, so Liberia is not an exception. Having heard about a brother from our community, as a matter of fact, I have received communication, a call from Liberia from this brother telling me about his intention, and not only that he has done that, he has written me officially, asking for our moral support, even though we're not going to vote for him, which is also something that we actually, for one, appreciate highly. So, my question to you is, holding everything constant, qualification, connection, affiliation, whatever you may turn it, holding everything constant, does that worry you a bit that somebody from your backyard is also, contesting this post? So can you just comment on those two things? Thank you.
Okay.
Let me take it from the bottom up. Holding everything constant, what does that worry me? Obviously, it should because of, it's politics, There will be a lot of issues that we'll be discussing, we'll be debating, we'll be going to the same community. Everybody must go into every community in Montserrado County and have their points and their platform and how they will be able to provide services and deliver for the Liberian people in Montserrado County. So obviously, yes, it's somebody that I know very well. Obviously, yeah, it will do affect me that the person is in the race along with me. And I think that we'll be going to the same people and taking vote from the same people. He will take vote from me, I'll take vote from him. These are political calculation or miscalculation that we're talking here. But the reality there is that, as I said, the community must be able to take a stand in who goes and who stays. We all have to reach out to people, obviously. But I think we need to come up with a conclusion that one person must be able. These are strategies. I don't know whether we should discuss this strategy on the forum. I want us, Mr. President, maybe we can talk it behind the scene, talk more about it behind the scene. But obviously, yeah, holding everything constant, it should be worrisome. But notwithstanding, our community and how we are connected as people will be associating with vote, how vote counts. So, yeah. The other thing is that the party wants to throw their support behind Ambassador Weir. I think that's a myth. That's very mythical. Understanding how Unity Party operates. I'm a member of the party. I've not heard any conversation with who think that because George Weir, they want to support George Weir. I think there's a discussion within the party that the party must put a candidate. I think what happened in 2011 was unfortunate that the party did not put a candidate. And I think that a lot of the people who wants to contest, they're either afraid because maybe George Weir is in the race or not in the race. But for some of us, we with the rest strategy, the energy, the scene, the creativity, the zest, our records are very glaring in terms of the geopolitics in Liberia. Realistically, I think we should definitely go into the process. And with the support of our people, I think this thing is inevitable. That it's obviously we can put a very good fight, but we just not go into this process just because we want to vote. We go into the process to interpret this voting to winning. And there's many ways that we can win. I think those strategies, we just need to think about how we can move the strategy around. And obviously we can do something good. So let me stop there. I think the other thing we can talk behind the scene. I don't think it would be good for the forum to talk about other strategy as well.
All right. 1388, that brings us to 131388. Your name, where you calling from, your question for Kennedy Ali Sylla, 1388.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you are on live and clear.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Gracie Brownell Vincent, and I've been listening. I think I came in a little late, but I've been listening, and I had just not questions for Mr. Sylla, but more like comments. One, it was in reference to an earlier question that was asked regarding his previous quest to run, and that he had had some support, and then he went on the ground and changed, something happened. He didn't get to run again, but there was never any communication with those that rallied around him. And so I just wanted to, he addressed that already, but I just wanted to buttress that saying, going forward, I am, I've talked to him. I just got to know Mr. Sylla. I'm not a part of your community. However, I've seen what he's done. I've seen evidence. I've never gotten involved in politics before. I'm a social worker. I'm a teacher. I work at a university. I have nothing to do with politics. However, I've seen that he has gotten his hands dirty. He's seen, he's worked with people, and he has a lot of experience. And I think going the next step that he's trying to take, getting into the macro level, I think it will be a good opportunity to be able to make a lot of changes that we need at this point in Liberia. So I've kind of got it on board. So going forward as a member of his team, I think one thing we want to do, with all the support that we're going to get from everyone here will be this constant communication. We're not going to bombard you with emails or anything like that, but, something as important as what our brother said earlier regarding, those changes that were made and he never got back to them. That's something going forward that the team will be working on to kind of get you, keep you informed. Tonight somebody just made a pledge, like going forward if something happens, so that way, we are accounting for your contributions to his quest, So I wanted to say that, we'll be getting information, either communicating with you on the phone or through emails. At least you know what's being done with your contribution, or even like morally or whatever, just keeping you abreast of the situation. That's my first point. And then my second point was that I'm not part of your community, but I just wanted y'all to know, like, don't just hold it that, oh, what are you going to do, we as a community, I'm an outsider. Ali has a lot of other people that aren't necessarily part of your community, but, like, I see myself, like, we're all one community. And me just listening, like, I was kind of, like, taking it back, but I kind of get it. But I just wanted to add that is, like, we're all in this together. That's all I wanted to see.
If I understand you right, are you a member of Ali Sylla
yes.
team? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you, brother. Mr. Sylla, do you care to add or just keep moving on?
Well, thank you. I think that's why I said some of these strategies we need to talk behind the scene, because it's like a public forum, and I will be calling. We'll be definitely communicating all of those things. But the reality there is we're going for a bigger picture here. We're going for Montserrado County. It's a very polarized and
not only are you going in Montserrado County, it's not a representative thing that's confirmed to a district. It's a whole county thing. Yeah. Right.
So, the support is very, very necessary. But the strategy is the thing that matters the most, But I think we have a shot here, to be frank with you. We have a good shot here.
Okay. All right. Let's take our next caller. 1591, 1591.
Thank you, Gracie.
Thank you, Gracie. And once again, thank you, Honorable Mamadi Sise, for that initial pledge of the first pledge of $100. I've yet to have anyone to match that. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Sise. 1591 is our next caller, 1591. Your name, where you calling from, your question for Kennedy Sylla, 1591.
My name is Morris Kurma from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome, Mr. Sylla.
How you doing, my brother?
First of all, I want to pledge $50. I don't want to be the Mamadi Sise, but I'll pledge
$50. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very, very encouraged by you, as a young man and running for position in Liberia. I always have the aspiration one day to go back home and run for position, but the way I always thought of doing it is why you already started going on the ground and doing something for the people. Then you can tell the people this is what I have done, because we hardly see that in our Liberian community, whether here in the United States or back home. So seeing you doing issues that are affecting the life of people on the ground, and you want to represent them, I have no doubt that they will see reason to put you in the Senate in a coming election. But I want you to take into consideration something that Manju Ability raised earlier about looking at the numbers. For me, I worked on Obama campaign in Wisconsin in the past 2 campaigns, and the result is very clear. We carried Wisconsin twice, even against Paul Ryan, who was a native of Wisconsin. I was part of the strategy on the ground as part of DNC Wisconsin chapter here in Milwaukee. There are a lot of stuff I can talk to you, like you said, behind closed doors, that thing that we did to make him to win here. But I want you to don't dismiss Joshua Waller in the running to be senator in Montserrado County or not. But I want you to look at it like he's the opponent to you, starting from tonight and looking at the numbers. 80,000 and 100,000 plus. These are huge amount of people. I know what you have done, but sometimes our people in Liberia or here in the diaspora don't look at issues. You know, you have done great issues, activities on the ground that people should vote for you, but our people don't look at it. So I hope your team will look at strategies from two different, from the traditional way, the people that know you or people that know you from your connection, and also from the issue-based perspective. Because when you just go with the issue, believe me, I have doubt that you might fall short. But so your team has to look at it from two different perspectives when they're going into this to elect you to be the senator for this county. And also, I want to know whether you getting any kind of registration data from the LEC to see how many people have registered to vote. Then you can come up with the target number that you want to target. That will be the winning number. You know, let's say 200,000. That will be your target number. You know, and for us in the diaspora, all we can do is support you. You know, and pray that you win. But we cannot go on the ground to vote. And even though you listed your team, but I will also recommend that you divide the Montserrado County into different sessions and let the team focus on those areas to see who will be responsible for this Central Moravia, who will be responsible for, you know, this part of Montserrado County and that part of Montserrado County. You know, when you carry on your strategy in that way and set a date, most of the time when we go out in Wisconsin, especially Milwaukee, I would say we'll divide Milwaukee into 4 different, the west side, the north side, the east, you know, and the south side. And every Saturday and Sunday and every time we have off days, we'll have a team that will go there. But you will usually have a list of people. So I don't want to take it too much time. I want to congratulate you for considering to run, and I wish you the best. You know, just give me the way that I can send that money to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kramer, just so you know, there's no way you're going to take up all of the time. Once you pledge $50, my brother, you're good. We'll let you speak. This is a fundraising event. So thank you. We appreciate that. Sylla, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, to be frank with you, I think these are the kind of conversations and dialogue we should be having in terms of strategy. You know, behind the scene will be decent. I mean, these are pointers that I will appreciate. You know, no one is an island. But you know, as I said, I didn't want to get involved in all of the strategy on the public forum. But these are things that we definitely consider in the 17 electoral district. Then we broke it down into zones and communities. You know, we have people on the ground that want to really hit the ground running very high. But we needed some logistical arrangement. And those logistical arrangements could be motorbike, could be this, could be that. We need visibilities. We need T-shirts. We need, you know, but we need to do some pre-sensitizations and robust awareness before the process starts. Even the voter registration exercise. The Election Commission just announced the new voter registration exercise with new voters. People just turn 18 years old. You know, and then people move. Some people died. And so all of those things. And then people moving from America, moving back to Liberia. So we do need to register all of these people. So during the voter registration exercise, we need to be involved in terms of encouraging our people to go and vote to go and register. So all of those things are things, obviously, once we have the total number of electors, registered voters, then we need to change the paradigm in terms of the strategy. How do we target that particular number that we need to get to win? So all of these things are things that, these are the strategies we need to put together. We definitely are open. Brother Kroma, obviously, we'll be talking behind the scene about ways. I mean, we need to replicate some of these things that you did in Milwaukee and other places. We need to replicate them down to Liberia, but we need to contextualize it in Liberia because Liberia is a little bit different from the West. People here have some level of engagement in terms of the issues. In our country, obviously, we have an intellectual class, but yet them say the intellectual class does not translate or have that political dividends towards the masses of our people. So yeah, we can do a lot of different things of moving ideas and shifting strategy around to see how we succeed in this quest. So, but thank you, man. We'll talk behind the scene.
Thank you. I do want to take this time to recognize our 3 overseas callers, 3 Liberian numbers registered over here. The way to ask questions is the same way I've said over and over to everyone. If for any reason any of you calling from Mailer Mice away have any question, comment, or concern, by all means, please dial *61 on your phones, and your questions will come over here. We'll get it over to Honorable Ali Sylla. Speaking of the figures that Brother Moyibility threw out there, here's Mr. Moyibility. Mr. Bility, welcome back to the Liberian Diaspora Forum.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on again. Let me speak to our guests. I'm very happy with the composition of your team, for especially your involvement in the youth community and the involvement of people like Valai Dole. And I think that's a good way to go. I worked with Mr. Dole before when he was the chairman of SAM. I was at one time I served as Secretary General of SAM NAM Convention Committee, and I also worked with him as Assistant Secretary General of SAM. And I guess you know what SAM is. So having people like that in your community, I think you can move forward. And he also worked as my body also when I was serving as NAMSA coordinator to AMEU. Okay, having said that, you talk about you being an activist. Actually, I really don't understand when government officials refer to themselves as activists, as most of the activism in Liberia are directed towards the government or against the government. I'm a fan of the Unity Party. Let me be on the record for that. In fact, most of my writings prove that I'm a supporter of the Unity Party. So how do you really draw the line between your activism and your position in government, and taking into consideration that most of the activism in Liberia are directed towards or against the government, speaking of the issue of corruption and other issues? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That's a very simple question. I have a background of activism. My job alone, having probation, if you don't have activists, this position would not work. Brother Kafuma was in Moreover with me, looking at moving from Iran and going on the radio station talking about budgetary support for this particular position, meeting different stakeholders, having consultation within the different counties and different districts and communities. It won't work. Disagreeing with the government in terms of different policies. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, if you're in government, you shouldn't talk against some of the government policy." I find that very difficult. Where we have fought war for over 14 years and killed over 300,000 of our people, where we should be providing basic services for our people in terms of medical care, in terms of youth employment and youth empowerment, where our education sector was broke down for over all these years. I find that difficult that sometimes you cannot speak truth to power. I think for some of us, I do a lot of analysis of the government in terms of my writing, in terms of speaking about national concerns, and somehow will always be around. And I think the government, and this is why we applaud this government at times, because of this level of freedom of speech and taking recommendations of people within the government circle. For real, I'm very, very out of words when people say, how do you reconcile that? Well, we should speak. We should speak about ills in our society. We should make other people's lives better. This is why we went to school for. This is what we commit ourselves in terms of volunteerism, in terms of activism. People who know my history will tell you that I should make government for doing right, and when they do wrong, I should make them as well. I commend government for doing right, and if government is doing wrong, and I tell government, yeah, you're doing wrong in this area. And, I'm a very qualified person. If they want to take that job, so be it. But we'll speak to power. We'll speak through the power. And that's what we commit ourselves to. So I don't find that difficult to reconcile that. I believe in that. That is the principle that I grew up in. That is the principle that I know. Those are the theoretical aspects that I went to school for. So to practice that, I think this is one that distinguished me from other people. I'm a social scientist. This is what I went to school for. I went to school to be a sociologist. to see ills in our society and we can make it better, and we are not doing anything, then we need to speak on that. And I think, I'm a member of Unity Party, as I told you. I'm the co-chair of the mobilization of national loans. So, I really believe in that. I really believe in that. And I think it's the right way to go about it. It's the right way to go about it, changing our society.
Okay. Folks, it's been over 2 hours. Can you believe that? Time goes by so quickly. We got a few follow-up callers. We will take those follow-up comments, questions, or concerns. And then unless the other person needs to continue, after that we will be winding down the show for tonight. But there's
the
still
people that are calling from Liberia, Kafuma, the people that are calling from Liberia, you don't want to ask them whether they want to make comments?
Well, I just said that. Last time I picked on them, they started dropping their lines. And so sometimes people come to listen, they don't want to. So that's why I let people make their own entry.
Okay.
But once you just open their line without they themselves tying *61, sometimes they just drop the line because they don't want, So we got some follow-up questions here, but as always, I try to take new callers over follow-up questions, but just know that I will get to you. I promise that. We'll take your questions. And so 9215, 9215, 9215. Your name, where you calling from? Your question for Kennedy Sylla, 9215.
Thank you, Kafuma Kroma. My name is D. Flo Flamot, the second. It's nice to have the brother come here with us today. But I have a question, and that question has to do with Liberia politics. Being a person who is also part of that political camp or arena, I just wonder why is it that many a times you find people when they are not in government, they tend to speak, say that they will do things. But then when they get in government, it tends to be totally different. So how can people, let's say my direct question to the brother is, do you believe that going in government with that kind of make you to speak, to say what you believe in, or staying outside and exercising your freedom of speech? Because the reason why I'm saying this is because I have seen a lot of people, when they're outside the government, they tend to speak, but then when they get into it, it's quite a different thing. Is it because that's just the way politics as a whole in Liberia is for now, or what?
Well, I think, what did you say your name again?
Flomo.
Okay. Well,
the host of Destiny Debater. All right.
Oh, Mr. Debater. Okay. Well, to be frank with you, I have history of speaking against ills in our society. I have serious history of that. Our records are there. We have writing articles. We have speaking on national radio about the different issues in our country. Like quite recently, I was in the Clarendon community doing a massive cleanup campaign, and I spoke against it. It was on national radio, on TV, or on the radio, that the corporate social responsibility of these entities, our people in slum communities must benefit, must be able to change the life of our people in those slum communities. And people might feel offended about it, but sometimes somebody have to speak on them. Those people who understand the intricacies and the complexity of the issue in the slum community. Our people are suffering. And then we continue not to speak. I have history of speaking against ills in our society. I have history. Those of you who know me. So I don't think that people go in the government and not speak. If you're sycophantic, so be it, but some are not. We believe in core principles. We live by those principles, and we believe in service. We live by service, and we'll continue to engage our stakeholders about ills in our society to be able to address that. Say I've never lived in a community where I've never made impact towards that community. If that community makes impact towards you, then you're doomed for failure. And I was in America, I make impact towards my community in America here. When I went back home, I make impact towards my community there. So I will always try to make impact towards my community. And I think this is where I want to differ with other people who say when they're in government, they don't speak, they remain quiet because if they speak, they will be out of the government. I really differ with them. They are out of government. They are government officials who criticize the certain minister and agencies about their work in terms of government development agenda. So this is the only way our country will get better. We need to be sincere to one another. We need to encourage. Look, the urgency for development in our country is high. Our country, we went through the Civil War. Then we'll continue to be sycophantic? No, I disagree to that. So, I have history to speak against the government in terms of ills in our society. And if those ills are still there, we will speak. If we are not in government, we will speak. If we're in government, we'll speak against them. And I think it's important for some of us to be there because we understand the nitty-gritty of the issues in our country. We understand the grassroots development in our country. We have history of developing grassroots organizations and working with the grassrooters in our country, understanding the masses of our people's struggle. So there's no way we can be around and not be involved in totality of understanding and moving and inspiring our people in terms of the stages of change. This is why we commit ourselves to go through this process, and we are committed. Whether we go through this process or not, we'll be committed to the masses of the people and be the force of the people, and we'll continue to do that. And thank you. And I think that's a very sincere question, that why people, when they're in government, they don't speak against the ills. I have history of that. I'm the national coordinator of probation. If the ills in the societies, we don't address the ills in the society, there will be more people on probation than in jail, and that will make my job difficult. So we need to spend more money on prevention than interventions, because intervention costs more money. And the only way we're going to address prevention is to talk about it, so we can have amicable ways of dealing with it. So thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we can wrap up or can get out of here by 9:30 Minnesota time. It's 9:16 right now. So quickly, 5735-5735. Your name, where you calling from, and your question from Sylla.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, hello?
Yeah.
You on?
Yeah, this is Vasiki Corner, calling from Philadelphia.
Go ahead, Mr. Corner. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just calling to give my support to my brother, Ali Sylla. He's a strong, committed community advocate who has proven that here in Philadelphia and is doing it there in Liberia. I've been to Liberia. I've seen his work, and I believe he can be a great representation for the community he lives in, the community he wants to represent. Regarding the fundraising, that is something we are discussing here at our level to see that we can have maybe series of fundraising between now and the election time here in Philadelphia and other places. But I also expect that the community for which Ali Sylla has really, really been working, FEMUSA, whether it's at FEMUSA level or LIMA or MMA, all the organization needs to be conscientized to contribute towards this effort. Because if we all want to see change in Liberia, we need to invest in leaders that we believe can bring the change about. That's just a short comment I wanted to make to show to the brothers that we all are backing him. We all going to make sure that we contribute wherever we can to make sure that victory is ours. I know it's not just going to be a walk in the ballpark. It's going to take a lot of effort for total victory to come, but we can make some commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sylla, any comment? You want to make
thank you, basically. Just to thank you, man. Anytime coming, getting support from brothers is always a good thing.
Okay. All right, we'll go back to George Toto in Pittsburgh. Mr. Toto, welcome back to the show. Your follow-up question, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think the speaker addressed some of the issues I wanted to talk about when I first asked a question about his political belief. He said his political belief of the Unity Party, but what I wanted to get more detail when I met his political belief, what he had in school, what are some of the new ingredients he have in him personally that could bring hope to the people in Montserrado County apart from the general party political idea or ideology. But I'm glad he said, you're coming to the race, you have a belief, you have an objective to achieve, you're not in the race because of maybe a big need or whatsoever be that may be coming around, maybe the job we have factor, but you have a belief, you have a focus, and that's why he entered in the race, and I give my heart up to him for that. He's there for something to make a change, and not because some big deal. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toto. Thank you. Mr. Sylla, I'll just take probably one more follow-up caller after here so we can be out of here by 9:30, and that will allow you to make a quick closing remark. But let me ask you, Mr. Sylla, quickly here. If you were to pick 5 good things to do in Montserrado County today, as you said in your introductory remark, obviously Montserrado County is the most populated county in Liberia right now, given the fact that the nation capital, Monrovia, is within Montserrado County. So assume that you are elected senator 2014. What are the first 5 things that you would do that you think that the county of Montserrado County need right now?
Well, one of the major things is probably youth employment. Youth employment will be one of the things in terms of legislation. We'll look at all of the different laws that will address employment. If those things are deemed, all of the concessionary contracts that we have in terms of employment, whether we're going to whether we're going to look at those particular contracts for employment, and then how we decentralize those particular employment for people to move out of Montserrado to have a better life. Because Montserrado is a melting pot, so we got 1.4 million Liberians that live in Montserrado County. The other issues that I would look at is the major issue of legislation in terms of our Constitution. There's a lot of laws that have been passed in the House and in the Senate, and those laws are either violations of our Constitution provision. Let them say our Constitution is one of the most racist constitutions in the world, but I think we will be able to encourage the Constitution Review Committee to get their job done very fast. So our Constitution can be interpretation of our contemporary issues in our country. So I think one of the things is having the oversight will be to encourage and be forceful and monitor the Constitution Review Committee so they can be able to finish and have consultation about all of the constitutional provisions that will review and adapted by the Liberian people, so it can be replicated or it can resemble the grievances and the instrument that guard our organic law of Liberia. The other thing is in terms of education. We're going to draft laws in terms of behavior assessment in school. And these laws have to come in terms of budgetary support and budgetary allotment, looking at the government economy. And right now we got close to $700 million as the government budget, the government economy. But yet them stay in terms of education. It says that 25% of the national budget should go to education. But then 25% is not going towards education. So we need to draft laws that will address curriculum development, behavior assessment in school, individuals with disability in school. We need to be disability sensitive towards our people. There are many people who have disability in our country who, of course, are either dropped out of school. The University of Liberia not sensitive to disabled people who have vision impaired or in terms of their eyesight. They don't have facility for them to go to school, so we need to be sensitive to that. The other thing that I'll focus on, 5 things is big. Then we're being very ambiguous in terms of our understanding of how the Senate is working, because you need to do a lot of lobbying. You need to strategizing to try to mingle with the other people to fit in terms of legislation. We need to do comprehensive assessment of what the needs are, because there are a lot of times people are passing laws in the House or in the Senate. We're not having comprehensive assessment and feasibility We need to get more professional in the House of Senate. I mean, the House of Senate and the House of Representatives is more political, but yet we need to have professional in terms of budgetary support going to law administrative agency. There's a whole lot of loopholes and pitfalls of how those things work in terms of the caucus and the committee and all of those things. So I would just stop there because I don't want to be too big world, and people don't hold me to say, oh, my man, when you were talking to all you say you live this 5 things, and you know, and realistically those 5 things might not work. But I think we need to start with baby steps. The first thing is looking at the contemporary issues, looking at the education sector, looking at youth employment and empowerment, looking at, you know, the health sector and what have you. And then having oversight about law administrative agency in terms of getting our people benefit. So I think those are the important things that I'll be looking at.
Thank you. Now, with that said, I will take one follow-up caller, and I believe that's OB. And then, interestingly, a good number of you just joined us. As much as I'd like to welcome you to the Liberian Diaspora Forum weekly talk show, but I also like to inform you that this show is about done for the night. We've been here well over 2 hours now, so 1 or 2 hours, 30 minutes. So unless you want to pledge, it's always good to pledge. We will still take your pledges. If you have any pledges to make, please dial *61. And that it is only for pledges. We'll be taking *61, of course, after my last follow-up call. Otherwise, we will go to Mr. Obi. And then after that, we'll return the floor to Mr. Ali Sylla for his closing remark, and we will call it a night. Obi, welcome back to the Liberian Diaspora Forum, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Brother Sylla, you know, this community is a very traditionalized community. It's a strong traditionalized community in Liberia. I mean, the Mandingo community in general. And then also, now you are speaking to the diaspora community, and you're speaking to the Mandingo community here in the diaspora. But I want to know, my question is a little bit hypothetical. I want to know because there's another brother Kuyate, that is running in the race. So I want to know if you guys, if Kuyate took his case to the Mandingo, to the elders in Mandingo elders in Liberia, and they have to call you guys, and they decide that you step aside, what will you do not to disenfranchise this community and the non-Mandingos that will be supporting you? What will you do if the elders told you to step aside?
I mean, it's a very tough decision, Obi. It's a very tough decision. As I said to you, across court, not just our community alone that are supporting us. We cross court. I'm from a political party, but we definitely need to look at everything and put on the table, dissect them, understand the importance of them. We need to develop criteria who we think that can better represent us. For me, I will always tell you that I have a history. I have a history of providing activism, advocacy, working in government. I've been tested in government. I've transformed where I've worked. I have history of all of that in terms of service. I'm a servant of the people. I've shown that. I've demonstrated that. That's the only thing I can tell people. I have a history. I have a record. It would be a good thing that our community can look at all of the records, put them on the table, and see how best we can support the best candidate for. But realistically, as I said to you, I was just on Facebook. There are people, many of my students, who are behind me, not from our community. I mean, these are indicators that we need to look at in terms of electionary processes. We cannot dismiss that because maybe the elders say S, Y, and Z. We need to look at all of these things, put all of them on the table. Say, look, these are the indicators here in terms of electability. But just to say for X, Y, and Z, I mean, it will be a very tough decision, to be frank with you. But I'm not bigger than our community. Our community is always bigger than me. Our community is bigger than me. But what I would say is that all of us are opinion leaders in our community. People listen to us. People, people listen to us. We listen to people. We just need to be fair in terms of our analysis and develop the paradigm shift of who we think that can able to represent us. And then we go to the process and see how that goes. But I don't want to sit here and say our community alone. This is Montserrado County here. And when we look at Montserrado County, let's look at the different area in Montserrado County. This is not a guessing game. This is politics. This is about elections. And elections is about numbers. I mean, once we get all of those factors and indicators on the table, you want to say this is the right time for me to go in the process. I'm not here to brag. This is the right time for me to go to the process. I've cross-cut in many areas. And for us to sit back and just make a decision based on euphoria or sentiment, it will be a detriment to our community. But for us to analytically and critically analyze our chances, I think it will be better for me to go to this process at this time. So let me just stop there. But I think, these are strategies behind the scene, Obi. These are strategies behind the scene that we all need to talk about and be sincere towards our community, not because people know me, not because people feel like they know Sheikh Kouyaté or whosoever. But this thing is bigger. It's bigger because there's a litmus test for 2017. The political decision that is made today here in 2014 can test our community and the larger Liberia community in terms of the presidency. I'm not saying that the person that will run will win. No, I'm saying that to have a stake in the ensuing 2017 elections, to create a major euphoria in the national discussion of how we think our community and that of the larger community can benefit, whether socially, whether economically, whether politically. This is the discussion we need to be having behind the scene, and to see how we can put forward the best suited person that can ably represent us in Montserrado County. So thank you. I mean, it's just a decent question.
Thank you. I hate it when we have to go even with as many people on the lines we have, and hopefully everyone heard me well when I said that the only other questions I'll be taking after the last follow-up caller will be those who are interested in making pledges. So now that Mr. Mohammed Sharif of Philadelphia has that *61, it is my hope that he's going to do just that. So whatever he has to say, whatever he has to offer, I urge you, Mr. Sylla, when he's done, just go ahead with your closing remark and possibly address his concern, comment, or question along the way, so we don't have to return the floor to you twice. So, Mr. Mohammed Sharif, Philadelphia, welcome to the Liberian Diaspora Forum, sir.
Yes, sir. It's my great pleasure. I hope I'm audible because I'm driving.
Okay.
So I'm going to comply with the rules of the program tonight. I'm going to invest in this campaign and an initial donation of $50. I've always invested in campaigns that will take us forward. Ali is aware of that. Mr. Sam Mohammed Proma is aware of that. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. That's part of my objective of investing in Liberia's future. And I believe that, we need competent legislators and whatnot. Someone just made a very important point. I think that is extremely important. That kind of coalition of the Mandingos around one candidate is what I will always advocate for at this time in Montserrado. So that was a very important point. I don't need to add any more to that. I hope that Ali and the other candidates will come together, and whoever is stronger and has a better chance has to support the other, because this is not going to be easy. So that's it. That's it for me.
Okay. Thank you.
And I just want to know who is taking the pledge, and where to mail it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we'll get to you, Mr. Sherry. We got your contact number. We will. The candidate after the show, I will get a hold of him and give him the names and phone numbers of those who pledged tonight, and then we will arrange that. We'll reach out to you, sir. Thank you.
Cool. Good.
So, Mr. Sylla, there you have it. What do you want to leave us with today in your closing remark? I hope you don't forget to thank the few generous listeners who have pledged to your campaign tonight. So, you got the floor, sir.
Well, thank you, first of all. Thank you for the forum. I really appreciate coming on the forum and listening to people's suggestions, recommendations, and inputs. I also want to thank all of the people who contributed, all of the people who call in, because I think sometimes the moral support and the questions are more important because it kind of give me a sober reflections of what we think we should go into or what we are going into. It is going to be a challenge. I wouldn't sit here and not admit that it's not going to be a challenge. This is a fight. It's going to be a major fight. Montserrado is the melting pot in terms of our geopolitics in Liberia. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a battle. But we are ready for the task, and I can guarantee you that we are qualified. I'm very qualified for the position. Our records are there. If I sit here and tell you all of the things that we've been able to do, we'll be here all night. But the only thing I want to leave you with, let us go through this process 2 hours. Let's be conscious. Let's be realistic to who we support. Not just because we want to ask questions and do X, Y, and Z. Let's support a candidate that can ably represent us. If you feel like that candidate is not me, so be it. You can go and support whosoever you want to support. But if you feel like I'm the candidate and ably represent you, then let us work together. Because I'm not an island. I don't have all of the strategy. I don't have all of the resources to tackle Montserrado. Montserrado is very huge. We got to go to Toogie. We got to go to Toogie, Carysburg, Johnsonville, Dixville, Clay Ashland, Cruiserville. These are all places in Montserrado County. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a very tough battle. It's going to be an intellectual showdown. But I think we are ready. I think we've been tested. We've been tested in the geopolitics in Liberia. We have contributed immensely to the upliftment of our people. We have done a lot of decent work in communities and engaging community stakeholders. So let me just stop there to say that thank you so much for giving me the initial support. And I will continue engaging you and all of the stakeholders in America here. We'll officially write you guys and let you know that our intentions about this whole process and how we think we can accomplish it together. It is a partnership. Because at the end of the day, if we succeed in getting where we're supposed to get, we'll come back and tell you thank you so much for allowing us to work with you. And there's a partnership. Let me just say that it's a partnership that we're starting. This thing go a long way. From here all the way down to Liberia. All of the people in Liberia will be looking forward to your support, obviously. And thank you, man. Have a good night. And Kafumba, thank you for going with this kind of suggestion. I think it's a good beginning. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And as always, I cannot thank my listeners enough. Without whom we obviously would not have the show. There's still so many of you here up to the very end. We are so grateful. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for your time. So with that said, we will call you a night, and we'll keep you posted as to our next show comes next Sunday. So thank you. You have a good night. Brother Ali Sylla, please call me after the show so I can give you the name and phone numbers of...
well, I think you should coordinate that, man. Kafumba, begging you.
All right,
yeah?
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll please. Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night, y'all. Thank you so much.
Yeah.